What's up guys, JV2017 here, and today I'm going to share all of the important parts from Bethesda's Nuka-World Twitch stream from yesterday. Community lead Matt Grandstaff and Nuka-World lead artist Mark Tier shared the first hour of the DLC, so in this video I'm going to summarize all that was shown off. If you'd like to see the full stream, I've left a link in the description to that, and as always, if you want to avoid spoilers, stop watching the video now. At the very beginning of the stream, one of the first things we saw is how we're going to start the Nuka-World DLC, and it's going to start with a quest called All Aboard, which asks you to listen to the Nuka-Cola family radio station. So this is very standard. This is pretty much the same thing we've always had. It's different than Far Harbor, because I believe with Far Harbor you had to go talk to Nick and then go to a certain part of the map, but we do have to listen to a radio station pretty much like normal, and we also have to be level 30 for that radio station to show up. Now, to my knowledge, it wasn't really clarified whether or not you have to be level 30 to access the DLC content. You know, if I'm level 25 and I just want to go to where Nuka-World is on the map because, you know, I've watched YouTube videos or I've found it online, then can I go there? We don't really have the answer to that question, but I do hope they let us access it at lower levels, even though they've said it is a difficult piece of DLC. So once you tune to that radio station, you're going to hear that Nuka-World song that was in the trailer about a week ago, and you're going to hear Bottle and Cappy welcoming the player to Nuka-World and telling them how they can go. The sole survivor is invited to the transit center to board the Nuka Express, which is going to take them to Nuka-World. And we actually know where that is now. It's located on the western edge of the map, which was kind of what I was thinking because I saw the highway system in the trailer from a week ago, and so I kind of assumed, hey, it's probably, you know, near one of those locations, and it is kind of off the western edge of the map. It's very similar to Bethesda just extending the map like they did with Far Harbor to have, you know, that house at the very top of the map. It's just like that. So you can literally, you know, fast travel to some location on the western side of the map and then run to the transit center. Once you're there, you're going to find a band of gunners kind of guarding the area. We're not really sure why they're there, but while the developers were showing off, you know, this little portion, they talked more about the inspiration for Nuka-World, and they shared that after Automatron, they brainstormed a Raiders and Rides concept, and that essentially became Nuka-World. That's kind of the idea that stuck. With this DLC, they also really wanted to bring back the good and evil concept from Fallout 3. They said the theme for Fallout 4 was really about hope and kind of rebuilding and whatnot after losing so much, but now they want you to be able to feel evil if you want to, and so that's also a concept for Nuka-World that gives us some insight into what we're going to be able to do. The last insight they shared in this portion was that they wanted this DLC to feel like a challenge. They wanted this to be kind of a reward for the high-level players so they could actually enjoy this content. So they said even if you're around level 30, this is going to be a challenge. It's not just going to be a breeze unless you're completely decked out with a ton of weapons. Once they entered the transit center, they actually skipped to the other side because there's some story bits there they didn't want to spoil. So on the other side, we arrive in the Nuka-World port. I'm just calling it a port because that's where the Nuka Express actually, you know, comes to. And once you're there, one of the first things you see is a bunch of Nuka-World trash. And they give us a little tip that if we find these Nuka-World themed trash cans, a lot of them are going to have arcade tickets and tokens that we can use at Nuka-Cade and a lot of the different games around the park. So that's a really useful tip. So the first thing that you see on the other side is a gauntlet, or the gauntlet, and essentially it's a gauntlet that the raiders have set up to kind of test you to see if you can survive it. So this gauntlet is full of turrets, mines, traps, and locks. And so my advice to you guys, especially, well, I guess it doesn't help you if you're on survival because you can't save, but if you're not on survival, save a lot because there are random things that will kill you if you're not being careful. Just use that quick save button as much as possible. Also, there are plenty of locked doors in this area, and so it's a good idea to bring plenty of bobby pins and also to make sure that you have locksmiths so you can actually get through some of those doors. They did mention that it's not necessary to kind of advance, but there's going to be some goodies on the other side of these doors, and so it's a good idea to bring bobby pins and, you know, invest in locksmith. It's also a good idea to take sneak because one of those ranks gives you the ability to avoid mines that are on the floor, and that's really useful because there's, you know, tons of traps kind of laying around. You don't want to deal with those. But beyond the turrets, mines, and traps, you will be facing other sorts of creatures. You will be facing robot aliens. They're called animatronic aliens. Just like we saw in the trailer, they're not real aliens, they're just kind of robots shooting at you, so you'll face some of those in the gauntlets. And also, you have rad rats, which are brand new creatures, not really, you know, something formidable, not something you have to worry about, but there they are, new creatures, and a bunch of rad roaches, and of course, raiders. So there's really not much else to say about the gauntlet. It takes probably 15 to 20 minutes to get get through for the first time, it appears they died a lot in the stream. So I can definitely tell you guys that you need to save a lot and be careful where you're stepping, because those things will trip you up and take you a lot longer than you want to take. Once the sole survivor reaches the end of the gauntlet, they will enter the Cola Cars Arena. And if we look at the map, if we reference the map that Bethesda gave us a few days ago, we can clearly tell that we're just inside the park. So we kind of took an underground gauntlet route into this area. This was another part of the stream where they paused, loaded a different save, and skipped ahead to avoid any kind of story spoilers, so you can expect some kind of story to happen in the Cola Cars Arena. But we're picking right back up outside of the Cola Cars Arena to see the pavilion kind of entry part of the park. It was really interesting to see this because these raiders are not attacking us. They seem to be all friendly. And so it's kind of interesting to see the culture inside of this park with all these raiders. I guess they're just kind of neutral to you, and then some kind of conflict happens and then they fight you. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but of course we will find out when the DLC comes out. Next, the devs showed off NIRA, which is the Nuka-World informational robotic assistant, who's kind of a quirky robot character who has a split personality. And so they explained that NIRA was rolled out by the park just before the Great War and the bombs dropped, so she's not really 100%. She's not exactly how she should be, and so she has these error malfunction parts where she's really nice to you, and then suddenly she's really mean to you. She calls you scum, she says you couldn't kill a rad roach. She's a really interesting character. Basically, her purpose is to tell you about different parts of the park. She's an information greeter robot, so if you ask her, she'll say, this is what you'll find in the Galactic Zone, you know, Safari Adventure, Kitty Kingdom, all those different kinds of things. But what's really cool is the first time they talked to her, she shared a quest, which is to collect park medallions at all of the attractions and collect a special reward. So I have no idea what the special reward is. I don't have any beta access, and so I don't know what that's going to be right now, but you can definitely expect me to cover that on the channel, show you where all those park medallions are, and show off whatever the special reward may be. Fortunately, we do get to see where some of the medallions are. We have the Ferris wheel, the minecart ride in Dry Rock Gulch, Nuka Galaxy, the treehouse in Safari Adventure, Nuka Racers in Kitty Kingdom, and the Vault Tech kind of exhibit in the Galactic Zone. So those are some of the medallions. I don't think that's all of them because that's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I would think there would be more, maybe not, but that might be all 7 of the park medallion locations. After talking to NIRA, they walked around a little bit and then decided to skip ahead to the Nuka-Cade. So they stopped, loaded another save where they had plenty of tokens and whatnot, and showed off the arcade part of the map. Once inside, they shared a little bit more developer insight about, you know, how they come up with certain ideas, and they brought back an idea that Todd Howard actually talked about at E3, I believe, and that's the idea of game jams, where you give the developers 1 week to work on whatever they want to work on, and then they share their ideas, and maybe some of those ideas make it into future content on whatever game they're working on. So this arcade idea apparently came from a game jam where, you know, some devs were like, hey, let's make a skee ball, let's make, you know, a little basketball game and whatnot, which is really cool. And it happened to make it into this one with the Raiders and Rides concept. Next, they gave us a really good tip that I'm definitely going to share in my how to get ready for Nuka-World video, of course, that I'll make probably a day or two before Nuka-World comes out on the 30th. And that tip is to bring pre-war money. Bring as much pre-war money as you possibly can, because that will get you Nuka-Cade tokens, and you need a token for every single one of the little games here. So if you want to get tickets, you need pre-war money to buy tokens and then use the tokens to play the games and earn the tickets. And you'll be able to spend those tickets on certain prizes from the raiders that are running that arcade. And so if you guys have any, you know, specific pre-war money location farm places that you can think of, it's a good idea to go ahead and stock up on that before you go to Nuka-World. For the rest of the stream, they really just played a lot of the games inside of the arcade and showed us little tips and kind of, you know, little tidbits of information about them. So the first one they played is the shooting gallery game, and so you insert the token at the bottom of the machine. That's how it works for all of these games, and after you play them, you get the tickets, just like in a real arcade. And so they shared with this one, they were thinking about ways to make sure, you know, things were fair and you could actually compete and whatever, but they decided since it's run after raiders after all, you know, anyone can cheat. You can use whatever weapon you want to, you know, play in the shooting gallery and knock down those targets. So they pulled out a minigun and mowed down all the targets and reaped the rewards with a bunch of tickets. Next, they showed off the whack-a-mole game called Red Menace Whack-A-Kami. And so we actually see that the Whack-A-Kami weapon, the Kami Whacker, is actually a weapon. It's not just for the game. And so we kind of talked about it several times on my channel. I talked about weapons and then the general overview. I didn't think that the Kami Whacker was actually a weapon, but it is. This is a melee weapon that we can pick up and actually use to play games, and I'm sure we can whack, not commies, but raiders with it as well. Next up was the hoop shot basketball game. Obviously, you can expect one of those in every single arcade that you go to, but instead of just, picking up the basketballs and throwing them like they showed off a little tip, which is to use the junk jet. If you want to bring that weapon that you get very early on in the game, I think you get it, you get it on the Paladin Dance mission very early on in the game. If you want to use that weapon, you can pick up those basketballs, load the basketballs into the junk jet, and then shoot them off of the ceiling, and they will go straight in the hoop if you get the angle right. So that's kind of a quick way to get a high score on hoop shot. The final game they showed off is atomic rollers, and of course that is just skee ball. Of course everyone knows what that is if they've been to an arcade. And so the little tip for this one is you literally don't have to play the game because it actually didn't seem to work. It was kind of alarming because he was trying to roll the ball. Didn't really work. So really the way to play this game is to just hop over the, onto the machine and drop the balls into the holes as quickly as you can. And so that's the way you get a lot of tickets from atomic rollers. So anyways, guys, those were all the important parts and my general overview of what was shown off in Bethesda's Nuka-World stream. I may revisit this a few more times if I catch closer details, but overall, I'm really happy Bethesda does this. They always share some great little insights into how they made the DLC, along with a few little tips to get us prepared for the midnight release. I'd love to hear from you all in the comment section below. What's the first thing that you'll do in Nuka-World? What looks the most appealing? Are you going to bring all your pre-war money to the arcade? Are you going to explore some of the raider gangs? Let me know what you plan to do first in the comment section below. Alright guys, today I shared my general overview of Bethesda's Nuka-World stream. Next time we will cover more Fallout on my channel, so stay tuned for Fallout 4 tips and tricks videos. If you learned something new or enjoyed the video, remember to hit that like button, I would really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe for more Nuka-World coverage, Bethesda.net mods, and general tips and tricks videos. Talk to you guys next time. Peace!